Welcome to my dad's car. Enjoy!
Welcome to My Dad's Car, a podcast discussing our personal relationship with automotive nostalgia. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be about your dad's car. It can be your mum's, your grand's, your parents', guardians, or even a neighbour's. If it made an impression, let's talk about it. What was it? Saturday, wasn't it?
Saturday, yeah. So sadly I couldn't make it because I was knee-deep in home decorating.
Is it all done now? Have you done your Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen?
Yeah, it is done, yeah.
I see you've got the shirt on.
Yeah. This is due to it being sort of -1 at the moment when we're recording this. But yeah, decorating's done, so unfortunately I couldn't make Brooklands, which is where you went on that Saturday.
Indeed, yeah, my first time there, which is probably a bit bad, really. It's kind of an hour and 15 from where I live down on the south coast. And I guess its historical significance is kind of similar to Goodwood, if not maybe greater. So yeah, I should have been there before. Went up with my friend Steve, who we saw up at NEC, drove up, met him kind of on the way, and yeah, spent the morning kind of wandering around with him. And yeah, really cool place. Sort of museums in sheds, I guess, sort of the old buildings that were there. You go in kind of one bit and there'll be a sort of thing about old motorbikes, and another bit sort of pre-war cars. They've got a slightly newer building that's got kind of F1 cars type things through the ages.
A bit of aviation there as well.
Yeah, there's a Concorde there. There's a whole load of aeroplanes there, which I think, up until very recently, probably last 10 years or so, they were landing planes there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, back in the day, they were building planes there as well. So there was a big old runway. So I think, I don't know whether Concorde didn't fly in. I read that. They took it apart, brought it back. But there's some sort of, I say jumbo jets, I don't know, planes, but that type of thing, which has flown in and they're now kind of parked up. There's the Sultan of Brunei or somewhere sort of plane, which is, super posh. There's some cargo planes. And those are all open. You can kind of go up the steps, have a wander around, which is pretty cool. There's a bus museum there. I think London Bus Museum's based there. Again, I didn't go in it. I was kind of there for the sort of the cars that had turned up.
Yeah.
And grab some clips. But yeah, definitely, I think it's a place to go back. Probably take the kids, really, and sort of make a day of it. Let them see the cars. You can pay, I don't know, 20 quid or something and go on Concorde, which is pretty cool. I think they do sort of Concorde dining experiences and things.
Right, okay.
A bit like you could do with like the Orient Express or whatever, but you'll sit on there and they'll serve you up a meal and all the rest. Which I might not go as far as that, but I
think notoriously back in the day when Concorde was in operation, the food and it was economy class, wasn't it, on board, I think it wasn't actually that nice. I mean, the one that you might have seen is potentially different, but
yeah, I didn't go on it. I don't know what level of sort of luxury it was. I guess the fact it was supersonic or whatever.
I think it was quite cramped by all accounts.
Yeah, it was the fact you could cross to the US in a couple of hours, wasn't it? That was the selling point.
Yeah.
Rather than you kind of lounged out with a fold-out bed and 5-star dinner.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll play a few of the clips from the wonderful people I spoke to, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat, shall we, about some of those. Okay, Charlie, we found you by a Ferrari Mondial. What's your earliest car memory?
My earliest car memory is kind of school run on the way to school called the Hazelmere Heights in the back of my friend's mum's Fiat 500, which was very bright red, tiny, and I think had 3 of us cramped in the back and rolling around there.
3 in the back of a 500, that's quite a feat.
We were little schoolboys in those days, short trousers, mostly fighting. We used to call it World War III on the way to school, and just having a great time, really good fun.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I found a gentleman called Simon. Simon, what's your earliest car memory?
Fiat 125.
Okay, and who did it belong to?
My father.
Okay, cool. And what colour?
Red.
Red, very nice. Thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.
I found a gentleman called Craig. Craig, what's your earliest car memory?
Of going in my dad's A55 Cambridge. My mum had only learned to drive and she couldn't reach the pedals, so I had to have blocks of wood on the floor.
Fantastic. What colour was it?
Black, with a red interior.
Lovely. We found Gary Davis, who I think owns this big, massive Fleetwood.
Cadillac.
1976 Cadillac. Okay, Gary, what's your earliest car memory?
Car memory is 1960 Hillman Minx by my dad, MBF 411.
Wonderful. What colour?
Blue?
Cool. And just your father drove?
Yes, me dad, yes. No, Mum didn't drive.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. I found Keith, who is the voice at Brooklands today. Keith, what's your earliest car memory?
It's probably a memory that's mine, but also my parents at the time, is taking me to the zoo when I was 2 and me screaming because I didn't want to leave the car park, and I much preferred motor cars to zoos, and we just went back to motor racing after that, and I started at a very early age, as you can see, with a stick-on wheel on the dashboard on top. So,
fair enough. And what car were you in? Do you remember what car you were in that day?
I think I was in a Jaguar 3.8.
Oh, lovely.
Which my mother had to drive on cushions at the time because she was too short.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I bumped into Kevin, who's just having a cup of tea on a bench here, just around the corner. Kevin, what's your earliest car memory?
Well, thinking back to my dad's days, he originally had an old post office van. I can't remember what make that was, an old Austin A40, and a van, similar sort of thing.
Did he have a van for work, or was that just his choice? Or
No, not for work, it's just his choice, I think. I can't remember why now, it was a long, long time ago.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Okay, mate, thank you.
We found Julian, who's got a parts stand here. Julian, what's the company and what's your earliest car memory?
Hi, well, this is Pop Parts Plus. We specialise in angliers and prefects and populars, of course. Probably the earliest stuff would be an auctions that was just across the road from us, and I was fascinated by all these cars coming through every Tuesday night. I remember it was Tuesday night, and at the time my dad didn't have a car, and then the first car we got was a Standard 8, and the thing I always remember is that you could see through on the engine, and I was used to my dinkies and you couldn't, so that really surprised me. That's the thing I always remember.
So you could see the engine from inside?
No, you could see, open the bonnet, you could see the ground, which, you couldn't do that on a dinky toy.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I bumped into Fiona Easterby, isn't it? Cool. Fiona, what's your earliest car memory?
My earliest memory, I think, would be my mum's DAF that she had. I think it was a DAF 55 or 44. She did have both one time or another. But this particular one pulled badly to the left. And she was used to it and used to compensate for it. But it got stolen one night and the thief didn't know that the car pulled badly to the left and crashed it through a wall about 200 yards down the road. So they didn't get very far with it.
That's quite a security feature.
Yeah, I thought so.
Thank you very much. I bumped into a gentleman called Mark. Mark, what's your earliest car memory?
My earliest car memory is a Ford Anglia driving to Isle of Wight on holiday.
Whose Ford Anglia was it?
It was my parents' car.
What colour?
A dark blue.
And who was in the car?
Me, my sister and my parents.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I bumped into Mike Stokes with his camera here. Mike, what's your earliest car memory?
Probably my uncle's V8 Pilot. He used to live up at Chessington. In fact, he used to work here at Brooklands. And he had a V8 Pilot, and I used to remember rolling little matchbox cars down the wing of the car. And
onto the running board?
Onto the running board. Yeah. So, and he had that car for many, many years. And
what colour was it?
It was black.
Okay.
Yeah, black. So that was probably my very earliest memory of any car. At that stage, he had a car and my father didn't.
Okay.
So this was back in the 60s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was probably the first one in our family to actually own a vehicle.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I bumped into a lady called Jeanette. Jeanette, what's your earliest car memory? You mentioned a Humber Snipe, was it?
Yeah, my dad used to have a Humber Snipe when we were kids. And, he had a couple of them. I know that the inside was leather seats, grey leather seats, and it was walnut trim at the front. So, like, all the speedo and the casings and everything was obviously chrome and walnut. And in the back of the front seats, inside the seats, if you see what I mean, were walnut tables.
Oh, nice,
And we used to have picnics. You know, when we used to go out for the day, obviously as kids, we used to have our food on the tables and that. But my granddad, my nan and granddad used to live with us when we were kids. And my granddad had an Anglia. It's definitely an Anglia, but it was like the old green. It was a green one, and I don't know if it was beige or it was white with it. But it was, that was like a really old one. We used to mess about with the indicators that used to come out the side.
Like semaphores.
Yeah. My sister and I used to try and catch them as we went round the corner and that sort of thing. We were a bit silly. But we were very young. But they were, I remember my dad having older cars than that, But my parents actually had a motorcycle garage up in London. Yeah, so grew up with motorbikes, really.
Fantastic. Okay, we've grabbed Chris, who's got a bright yellow Scamp. Chris, what's your earliest car memory?
Mini.
Whose Mini was it?
It was mine.
What about your parents? Do you remember earliest parents' car?
Parents, they had a green Morris, I remember, with a spare wheel on the back. My mum had a Mini.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
Okay.
I found James by 2CV van. James, what's your earliest car memory?
My parents' Vauxhall Colton. It was grey.
Cool, a state or a saloon?
Saloon.
Nice. And who was going out in it? You got brothers and sisters?
Yeah. Well, my brother would have been really young when we had it, so
okay.
Yeah, he would have been there, and my mum and dad. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, we've found a gentleman called Nick who's got a Reliant Rebel 1600 GT, I think. Nick, what's your earliest car memory?
My earliest car memories are my father's, an Armstrong Siddeley Sapphire, silver, over grey, I believe it was. There was always two tones, Sidleys were. And then he had Mark II Jaguars, Mark I Jaguars. He was a Jaguar man, basically. And I was petrol head from there onwards. And my first own car was the BMW Isetta bubble car, but it was the four-wheeler one with the two little wheels at the back. Which was, you had to have a car
really
license.
cool. Yeah.
You had to have a car license to drive it, and it was taxed as a car. Yeah. Then I went to A35s, then I had tuned up A40s, all the boy racer stuff and things.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Cool. There you go, John. There was some people.
Very good. Yeah, sounded like there was quite a few people there. Come out in their drives.
It was, yeah. Steve reckoned it was less busy than previous years. It's normally New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the weather wasn't so great, so they cancelled that, put it off to the weekend. But yeah, it was still a really good turnout. A nice diversity of cars.
Yeah.
A real sort of mixture of stuff. Some really mint things. There was a lovely XR4i Sierra. I think on an A-plate silver one. That looked, really good.
We used to have a Matchbox version of that. Same colour as well, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably still got that somewhere.
Yeah, that looked really cool, actually. There were some 2CVs there after our recent conversation.
Good job John wasn't there.
Yeah, two CVs, quite a few Porsches, to be fair, quite a few sort of 944s, 924s, quite a bit of American stuff. A Bedford Rascal.
Oh, nice.
Which was a blue one with some sort of stripes and stuff on it.
Yeah.
Which was a vehicle for transporting like retro or vintage go-karts around.
All right.
Which was sort of quite cool.
Yeah.
There was a newer section as well with sort of some supercars and things like that which couldn't get in. Some Lanciers, we went and had a wander around there. A bit of auto jumble.
Yeah.
And like some guys selling tin signs and art prints and other bits like that. Not that much, I think, because it was that cold.
Yeah. Steve not thinking of exhibiting there maybe in the future? Or
Yeah, possibly. I think he was glad he wasn't at this one.
Yeah.
He got chatting to a guy about some art, actually. He was trying to arrange a swap deal.
All right.
on a print of a 917 Le Mans car. But interesting from his point of view just to see how people were doing it and the amount of people who... It was still a paid gig. I think it was 24 quid or something for a ticket. So it wasn't a cheap morning out by any means, but it was nice. They had music on. There was a guy on a saxophone round one side. They'd got kind of a wartime type trio of ladies singing songs. Sort of they'd pop up every hour or so and do a bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy who I spoke to, actually. He was on a microphone kind of interviewing people and giving things a shout out. There was a DJ sort of playing like the Stones, that sort of thing. Sort of classic rock and roll in another area.
Yeah.
And you could sort of walk around. We went up on the original race circuit and they've got a map there and it's massive. It's not all there these days, but about 2.5 miles long. You can't climb up the banking because it's just really rubbish concrete, really.
Yeah.
but there was cars parked on sort of the flatter part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a really cool quantity of cars and some really interesting stuff. A lot of kind of American. I don't normally go much for American stuff, but yeah, interesting when you see, the size of it. What was quite nice turnout of Rolls Royces actually and Bentleys. They were all sort of parked in the shadow of Concorde almost.
Nice.
Yeah, from certain angles. It was a bit sort of rivals, really, that kind of era of 80s excess.
Yeah.
Yuppie culture.
Yuppie, yeah.
Yeah, people have got that much money and there's sort of the premium iconic aeroplane of the time.
A whiff of Filofax about it.
Yeah, and yeah, just a row of rollers. So yeah, that was kind of special. Rover 600 again, white one, completely stock L plate. That was just time warp. We were chatting to a guy who had I think it was a Reliant Rebel, which is like a little 4-wheeled fiberglass thing, but it had a like Ford Crossflow, I think 1600 GT engine in it, and the guy was saying he'd had an E-Type. He's had all manner of different stuff, but actually this little thing is a complete Q car, like you wouldn't expect to see. It looks a little bit like Wallace and Gromit's delivery van.
Yeah.
But yeah, it weighs nothing. It's got about 100 horsepower and goes sideways, and it's a real sort of weapon, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was out in that. It was quite interesting. A lady I spoke to, she was remembering, I think, Humber Snipes, I think, is the vehicle that came to mind. She was talking about like picnic tables in the back and all these other things. So yeah, it was interesting. It's tricky at those events, kind of just going up to someone with a microphone and going, "Can I grab you for 30 seconds?"
Yeah.
And it gets easier, obviously, as you know, when we were doing them at the NEC and stuff. It gets easier as you get into it, but the first few are just you got to just get back into the zone.
Almost be better off just doing it with sort of like stealthy microphones, really, wouldn't you? If you just sort of rocked up next to someone and said, "Oh, what's your earliest car memory then?"
Yeah, that's but I suppose on the flip side, for everyone I spoke to, then gave them a card to say, "This is what I do," and that kind of helps to grow the reach and the rest.
Yeah.
And that's a push for this year, really, is obviously to grow that and get that bit bigger. So yeah, telling people what we're doing and why we're doing it. It was really nice. Really cool day out. I think they've got another one in the spring. I've wrote it down, actually. Give me a second. I'll give you the date. And we'll put that out. So if we can get to it, let's see if we can. The next one's Saturday, the 19th of April.
Okay.
If you happen to be around, then we could even take the kids, to be fair.
Yeah, I'll put a little marker in my diary.
Try and make that work.
Should be all right. Hopefully be a bit warmer by then as well.
Indeed, yeah. Possibility we won't need 2 woolly hats.
Yeah.
So, cool. That was Brooklands. That's a little bonus on that one. Thank you to everyone who gave me 30 seconds, 60 seconds of their time. Thanks to Steve for spending the morning chatting. And thank you to you, John, for having a chat about it afterwards.
No worries. That was a good listen.
Okie dokie. We'll wrap this up.
Cool. Good stuff.
And roll the credits.
Thank you for listening to my dad's car. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please support us. Buy us a coffee and subscribe. And tell all your friends.